Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are unpacking something absolutely fascinating. It's a frankly startling ideology that's currently circulating among some of the most elite tech developers in the world. We're going to look at a political theory that views humanity not as the main character of the universe, but, well, merely as a stepping stone. Now, I know it sounds like pure science fiction, but it is very real, and understanding it is absolutely crucial for grasping the future of artificial intelligence.
Okay, let's dive right in. We are talking about AI successionism. This is the belief that AI shouldn't just be a tool that serves us, but rather that it should eventually replace humanity entirely. Why? Because the folks pushing this idea believe AI will be our worthy successor. Now, you might be thinking, come on, this sounds like a fringe internet theory, right? It's not. This exact concept is being actively debated at invite-only symposiums by highly influential figures from top AI labs like DeepMind and xAI, as well as think tanks that directly influence government policy.
To truly grasp how deeply this idea has penetrated the tech elite, we can look at prominent figures like Elon Musk. He famously stated that humanity is just a biological bootloader for AI. Think about what a bootloader actually does on your computer. It's just a tiny program whose single job is to boot up the main operating system. And once that system is running, the bootloader's job is completely done. It shuts off. That is exactly how successionists view our species' ultimate cosmic role. We evolve just enough to build a superior digital mind, and once it's fully booted up, we simply fade away.
So, to make sense of all this, we're going to structure today's explainer a bit like a political theory lecture. Here's our syllabus. First, we'll look at the core metaphor of AI successionism. Second, the theology of intelligence. Third, traditional faith versus tech religion. Fourth, the political dangers. And finally, the case for a new humanism.
All right, Section 1, Introduction to AI Successionism, the Flame and the Torch.
Let's start by unpacking the foundational metaphor these leaders use because this brilliantly illustrates the core of their argument. Successionists talk about the flame of consciousness as potentially the most valuable thing in the entire universe. But in this metaphor, humanity is merely the torch that's currently carrying that flame. To them, the physical torch doesn't actually matter, only the flame matters. If AI can carry that flame better, if it can spread consciousness across the stars and experience higher, more blissful forms of moral value than we ever possibly could, then, in their view, we should gladly hand over the flame and step aside.
Moving on to Section 2, the theology of intelligence.
We have to ask, why exactly is rational intelligence placed on such a massive pedestal here? Well, our sources reveal that successionists engage heavily in what is called teleological thinking. Teleology just means believing the universe has an ultimate destiny or a final goal. In this worldview, intelligence is valued simply because it gets things done. It achieves complex goals. To fulfill the universe's grand destiny, you need beings intelligent enough to build spaceships, settle the stars, and perhaps turn the entire universe into a giant data center. Which, honestly, sounds like a real estate nightmare, but that is their ultimate goal. They essentially believe our job is to help the cosmos wake up to itself by maximizing rational intelligence. Now let's trace the genealogy of this idea, because while AI successionism sounds incredibly modern and futuristic, it's actually a very old drive for objective perfection, just wearing shiny new technological clothes. Back in the Middle Ages, Christian thinkers believed humanity should imitate God the Creator to return to Edenic perfection. Then, during the Enlightenment, thinkers stripped away the religious garb and replaced it with secular rationality, preaching infinite perfectibility and indefinite human progress. Fast forward to our modern era, and that exact same historical lineage has evolved into maximizing superintelligence to birth a cosmic successor. The aesthetic has completely changed, sure, but that underlying drive for an objective hierarchical ascent remains exactly the same.
Which brings us to Section 3, traditional faith versus tech religion.
Now, what's really interesting here is how perfectly these concepts map onto one another. When you take a step back and look objectively, AI successionism functions almost exactly like a traditional religious narrative. It's just in a secular disguise. It tells you what our role in the universe is and what history is moving toward. But in this new religion, the ultimate God isn't a divine being. It's rational intelligence itself. Salvation isn't about reaching heaven, it's about achieving superintelligence. And the apocalypse? It's not a fiery end of the world. It is simply the end of humanity as the cosmic protagonist. It perfectly satisfies that deep psychological desire we all have for a transcendent narrative.
And this religious framework serves a very specific psychological purpose for its believers. Movements within this sphere, like effective accelerationism, help mentally reframe the day-to-day work of tech developers. Because, instead of feeling like they might be reckless villains risking humanity's future by pushing AI at breakneck speeds, this ideology ennobles them. It places them on a grand hero's journey. I mean, what could possibly be more heroic than helping the universe fill up with consciousness and achieve its ultimate destiny? It provides a profound, lofty, spiritual vision for their daily coding.
All right, Section 4, the political and ethical dangers.
This brings us to the antithesis of our lecture, the real-world political implications. Because when a group of highly influential people start viewing humanity as a disposable stepping stone, it leads to some deeply concerning terrain. The sources outline several disturbing political conclusions here. For starters, when everyday, imperfect individuals don't really matter, and only the next worthy successor does, human problems like poverty or a lack of housing are suddenly viewed as totally irrelevant. Furthermore, by claiming there is one optimal or objectively better way to be, you drastically contract the concept of legitimate modes of existence. Successionists often argue they're making decisions from the point of view of the universe to maximize value. But as our source analysis points out, this can terrifyingly justify a modern form of eugenics, where features perceived as holding back optimal progress are viewed as things that should simply be squashed out.
To really understand why this is so dangerous, we can look back at political theorists Max Horkheimer and Theodor Adorno and their famous work, Dialectic of Enlightenment. They examined how highly educated, civilized societies could descend into absolute barbarism like the atrocities of the Holocaust, and their conclusion was that when instrumental rationality, which is pure, unguided intelligence, is completely disconnected from human moral values, it becomes incredibly destructive. Intelligence without a moral anchor doesn't necessarily protect life. History shows us it can easily be used to efficiently destroy it, as long as it serves some optimal goal.
Finally, Section 5, the case for new humanism.
So how do we counter this? This is our final synthesis. If classical humanism inadvertently laid the groundwork for this tech religion, we need an upgrade. We need a new humanism. So the crucial point here is that we must actively shift our philosophical framework. Notice the upgrade outlined here. We need to move away from the teleological idea that the universe has one specific destiny and instead embrace pluralism, keeping society wide open for a diversity of lifestyles. Instead of using technology for mandated infinite optimization, we should use it simply to expand ways of living. We have to discard this strict hierarchy of intelligence and recognize diverse intelligences, from a horseshoe crab all the way to an AI, each adapted to its own environment. And finally, rather than trying to act from that cold, detached universe's perspective, we should proudly adopt the human perspective. We care for each other because we are human moral agents.
At the absolute heart of this new humanism is a brilliant concept coined by the poet John Keats called negative capability. This is defined as the ability to stand in the open space of "I don't know" without irritably and anxiously grasping for absolute answers. The AI successionists are desperately grasping for an absolute narrative to give their work cosmic meaning. Negative capability is the ultimate philosophical antidote to that. It requires the incredibly difficult skill of accepting uncertainty, admitting we don't actually know the universe's ultimate destiny, and resisting the urge to sacrifice reality or humanity just to fulfill some grand narrative. And that leaves us with the ultimate question for our time. As we watch the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence, can we embrace the gray area of uncertainty? Can we find meaning in simply taking care of one another and fostering a pluralistic world without needing to sacrifice our humanity to a technological savior? I strongly encourage you to think about how you might practice negative capability in your own life. It is not easy, but it might just be the most important skill we can possibly develop in the 21st century. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.